Hello everybody, my name is Cameron, welcome back to the channel, and today we have the NXT TakeOver 31 predictions. I'm very sad that this one has no cool name. Boo. No, but yes, we do have the NXT TakeOver 31 predictions. I want to specify before this, as a lot of the videos with predictions, because Jesse and I are very much kind of similar when it comes to our wrestling fandom sort of shit and our wrestling likes and dislikes. All of the predictions in this video are the exact same between myself and Jesse. There's not a lot of times, and I'm actually going to prove this, there's not a lot of times when we have differing predictions. Last pay-per-view, we had the exact same predictions all over. The pay-per-view before that, same deal. The pay-per-view before that, yeah, same deal. Pay-per-view before that, same deal. Pay-per-view before that, again, same deal. Where's Payback? Oh, no, Payback's the one we didn't have the same one on. Payback was the only one we actually had differing on anything. So that was the first one in a while that we've had differing ones on. But for the most part, going back till I think most of this year, since Worlds Collide last year, or since Worlds Collide this year, we've basically had every single thing be the same up until about, yeah, I think literally. Oh, no, there's a few. Okay, there's a few differing ones. But we don't have a lot of differing predictions all the time, so this one will be a lot like most of our pay-per-view predictions, where Jesse and I have the exact same predictions all over. So I'm just going to say who we've predicted to win each match, rather than actually kind of go into the specifics and stuff and actually like say, oh, I predict this person, just predict this person. So, NXT North American Championship match, we have Damian Priest, the champion, versus Johnny Gargano, the challenger, or should I say Johnny Gargano? I love doing that Finn Balor impression for that every time. We've both gone for Damian Priest, Priest being the obvious pick. I'm not saying I don't like Johnny Gargano. I do like Johnny Gargano. I just think Priest hasn't had a whole lot of time to hold the championship, and I definitely think he deserves to have a nice, lengthy title run, and maybe set up for Johnny to go up to the main roster, maybe, who knows? Next, we have the NXT Women's Championship match. We've gone for Io Shirai to retain over Candice LeRae. It's not that LeRae's not great. She is. I think it's just another thing of Shirai hasn't had a whole lot of challengers, really. She's mostly faced the same exact people week in, week out. And yeah, there's not much else I can say on that one. NXT Championship match, we have Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly, and we've both gone for Finn. I do love Kyle O'Reilly, and I do think he would be great with that championship, and that if he was facing anyone else, he would definitely be walking away with the championship. But he's facing Finn Balor. He's getting his first championship shot at a singles title on NXT, and while I would love for Kyle O'Reilly to win this match and go on to be NXT champion for a lengthy run, I think Balor deserves a lengthy run for now. It's looking like O'Reilly and Cole, from what the rumors are saying, only O'Reilly and Cole are being turned face and not Strong and Fish, but I don't see why they'd break up the Undisputed Era rather than just turn all four of them face. They all fit as baby faces. Like, they can all do babyface very well. I've seen O'Reilly and Fish do babyface in Ring of Honor. I've seen Roderick Strong do babyface on NXT. Adam Cole, I think, is about the only one I haven't seen do the babyface thing in the past. So I think they could definitely fit as a babyface tag team stable. And yeah, I definitely think splitting them up just to turn two of them babyface makes no fucking sense. But again, I would love for Kyle O'Reilly to win this match, but I think Balor makes the most sense going forward. Maybe in the future, O'Reilly will get his time to shine as a NXT champion, which I think he definitely deserves. Kyle O'Reilly is fantastic in the ring. He's fantastic on the mic. He's probably the funniest member of the Undisputed Era, and just, if you haven't watched, like, just go look up, there's a bunch of Kyle O'Reilly funny moments type videos. Go look them up. They're fucking awesome. Kyle O'Reilly is fantastic. Next, we have a men's singles match with Velveteen Dream versus Kushida. We've both gone for Kushida. Now, this does not have anything to do with the allegations against Velveteen Dream as to why we've chosen Kushida. We've chosen Kushida because it makes more sense for Kushida to win this than Velveteen Dream. personally speaking, it does seem like NXT/WWE does not want to have too much prowess being put into Velveteen Dream right now, just in case the allegations end up kind of being proven more true than what WWE has found. But also, I feel like this is kind of his punishment for doing it, if he actually did or what have you. I think they want to have some form of payback to him for kind of making their company get put under the microscope like this. And it definitely didn't help, and it definitely brought on a lot of the speaking out movement that happened, naming a lot of stars in WWE and independent scenes. And Velveteen, I think, while he's great in the ring and he's great on the mic, he's a charismatic person. I think maybe he definitely shouldn't have been brought back as soon as he was. Maybe they should have let it die down a little bit more and then brought him back. And definitely shouldn't have put him into a title picture scene right off the bat. But him versus Kushida, I'm very excited for this one. This is probably one of my matches I'm looking forward to the most, along with Balor versus O'Reilly and the next match we're about to talk about. But yeah, Kushida makes more sense to me. I think they're trying to give him a big push, and there's not much I can really say about it. Kushida's awesome. I love his character. I love the Time Splitters, first off. I love anything that has to do with Alex Shelley, because Motor City Machine Guns are fucking awesome. If you guys don't know, I'm from Michigan myself. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that or if I've ever said it in a video. I say it all the time, but I'm from Michigan, and I'm very proud of the fact that I'm from Michigan. So having a tag team such as the Motor City Machine Guns and having them put such a huge emphasis on Michigan. There's a lot of teams or a lot of superstars that are from Michigan but don't always kind of have that be their big standout point. Like, they don't really put it into their character at all. But the Motor City Machine Guns are one of the best examples of people using their state as best as they can. And when I heard about Time Splitters the first time, I'm like, holy shit, Alex Shelley. I'm like, awesome. And I kind of fell in love with Kushida after that. And especially because I love Back to the Future. It's one of my favorite movie series. So seeing him kind of dressing like Marty McFly is also really cool. I think Kushida is fantastic, and I really, really hope he gets a big push in NXT before going up to the main roster. And hopefully not being ruined like every other superstar that's been brought up from NXT. Except for Asuka and the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. And okay, there's a lot of names that haven't been ruined recently. They've definitely been doing better with their NXT call-ups, but like, they have had a bad history with NXT call-ups. So I really hope Kushida, when he goes to the main roster eventually, he does something very prominent up there without it really kind of just being another NXT call-up that didn't amount to much on the main roster because they didn't know what to do with him. And finally, the last match of NXT TakeOver 31, we have the Cruiserweight Championship match, because I'm not calling it the Interim Cruiserweight Championship match. I'm very sorry. I'm not calling it that. I personally, at this point, to me, this is the Cruiserweight Championship. This is the Cruiserweight Champion at Santos Escobar versus Isaiah Swerve Scott. It is not the Interim Cruiserweight Champion. Santos Escobar versus Isaiah Swerve Scott is the Cruiserweight Champion. I don't want to give any hate to Jordan Devlin. I think he's great in the ring. I think he's a great superstar, and he's a great dickhead heel. But the fact that he had allegations against him in the speaking out movement, and the fact that WWE, even though I'm pretty sure his were proven, has yet to really release him or anything, is kind of nerve-wracking to me, because I'm like, okay, are they being dumb or are they proven false? Because I haven't heard anything about a lot of the allegations. Like, a lot of them haven't had much said about them in recent months. As the speaking out movement kind of died down. So I'm like, why not just say, screw it, Santos Escobar is the Cruiserweight Champion rather than the Interim Cruiserweight Champion, because you're really just kind of reminding everybody that, oh yeah, the current Cruiserweight Champion is accused of talking to a minor in a sexual manner. WWE, what the hell, man? But Jesse and I have both gone for Santos Escobar, not Isaiah Swerve Scott. I love Swerve. I do love Isaiah Swerve Scott. He's awesome. I think he is one of the best people in the Cruiserweight division on NXT. I love his character. I love his moveset. I love his style of wrestling. He is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated wrestlers on that brand. I think a lot of people don't really what's the word I'm looking for? Don't really appreciate how good he is and don't really want to see him as champion. I think he could do great as champion. I think he could be a good champion for any of the championships on the NXT or main roster, for that matter. I just think that right now is not the time to push Isaiah Swerve Scott. I think let Santos get away with a sneaky win. And so many people were like, haven't we've seen this match like 900. They said this about multiple matches on this card. They said this about Santos versus Isaiah. They said this about Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano. They said this, or not, sorry, about Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae. Like, haven't we seen this match like 100 times? I'm like, yeah, but there's not much they can do. One, Santos Escobar and Isaiah Swerve Scott has a story behind it. There's a reason this match is happening again. It's because each time this match ends, it ends in controversy, with Santos Escobar cheating or sneakily getting the win over Isaiah Swerve Scott, having Legado del Fantasma get involved and end up winning the match for him, basically. Or in the case of the luchador mask with the, I'm assuming steel plate is what it was said was, and there was a steel plate is what I'm guessing, headbutt to Isaiah Swerve Scott to end up knocking him out and win the match with a pinfall. I think there's a lot behind this feud, and there's a lot of story behind it to keep it going. So many people, and especially wrestling fans nowadays, are always like, why is this match happening again? Why is it happening again? Because there's story to it. So many people complain about there not being enough story behind these matches and not enough story behind feuds. They are proving they can still do these long-term feuds and have the story continue to build into it without having an issue with it. But the problem is the fans are being fickle, cynical dickheads about it, and instead of accepting the fact that, oh, there's a storyline reason to continue this feud, they're saying, why the hell is this feud still going on? Kind of proving the fact that WWE has, a lot of people said, oh, why is it so, like, why are they just, like, having these matches out of nowhere and not continuing the feuds for a long period of time? It's because of shit like this. People complaining that Santos Escobar is facing Isaiah Swerve Scott for, like, the 4th, 5th time, whatever it is, and not realizing there's storyline reason for him facing Santos Escobar again. There is an actual storyline behind this, and I love it. This has been one of my favorite NXT feuds over the past couple months. Because rather than just have like a short month-long storyline, they have this building and building and building and building. Look what they're doing with Bayley and Sasha right now. They're building that story. They've been building that story since start of this year, end of last year, something like that. They've been building that story. They're building the Io Shirai Candice LeRae story more because it's something that's actually got a lot of story behind it. Same with Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest. They're actually trying to have story behind this stuff, especially with NXT and Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly. There's a lot of story behind that. Velveteen Dream, Kushida. There's a lot of storyline behind that, and it's so good to see WWE paying off with this stuff. They're actually trying to show more that they want to have longevity in their storylines rather than just 1 month and it's done for a feud. I mean, look at Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. They're continuing that storyline into a Hell in a Cell match at Hell in a Cell this year, which I think is perfect because I love that feud. It was uncomfortable to watch at Clash of Champions just a little bit, but I still love the fact that they're continuing it because there's a lot of story behind that, especially if it ends up leading to Roman Reigns versus Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania 37, which is on the rumor mill. I don't know for sure if it's going to happen at Mania, but I know it's in the rumor mill that they're planning for that match to happen at some point. So I'm very, very excited for that. Look at what they're doing with The Fiend and Alexa Bliss. They have a continuing storyline with that. They have a continuing storyline with Aleister Black and Kevin Owens, which actually led to Kevin Owens being attacked by The Fiend on SmackDown this week, and will lead to them having a match next week on SmackDown, as well as Bray Wyatt being on the Kevin Owens show on Raw. There's so much that they're doing with the storyline stuff, and I will say this, Bobby Lashley, Apollo Crews, that storyline, I think that one's died down at this point, and it can kind of be swept away because I think that feud is to the end of its longevity. I don't think Apollo and Bobby Lashley facing again and again and again and again is actually doing any good for either man or the Hurt Business or Apollo's stable as a whole. I think they should definitely start ushering somebody new into challenge for the United States Championship. Like, yeah, if Apollo or somebody else wants to come back at the Hurt Business later on, or if somebody else wants to try to face Bobby Lashley or something along those lines, go for it. Have that be the storyline, but do not keep putting Apollo versus Bobby Lashley because it's going to start drawing It's going to start drying this feud out more than it already has. NXT is proving they can do longevity with their feuds. SmackDown is proving they can do longevity with their feuds. Raw, nah. Because let's look at the feuds, and I know I'm getting off topic, but there's a reason for this, because I want to make a point. There is a reason for these matches happening over and over and over again. It's called longevity. It's trying to balance the storyline out. It's trying to keep it going without it being just a 1 month done flash in the pan feud. They want this to continue. So let's go through the feuds from Clash Champions, shall we? Because I want to talk about this really quick. Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton. There's a reason for this feud to continue. This has a great storyline behind it. This is the best storyline going on Raw right now. Second best storyline going on Raw. I think the Mysterio, Seth Rollins, Murphy whole debacle thing, I think that is probably the best Raw feud / storyline going on right now. For a lot of reasons, it's going very well. I feel like it's probably leading to a grudge match between Murphy and Dominic at Hell in a Cell is my best guess, but I don't know for sure. But again, Drew and Randy, very good storyline. They've definitely had the longevity to bring this one out. I admit the first match was okay. The second match, I was like, okay, really, they're forcing a second match into this. And then the third match, which almost looked like it wasn't going to happen, and now it's looking like it's going to head into a fourth match, which I love the fact that it might be heading into a fourth match because, again, I like the longevity WWE is doing with their feuds rather than just shuffling them away after a month. Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, I already talked about. Bayley and Asuka, I don't really care for the feud between the two champions, with Asuka constantly going for championships and the whole trying to mix the championship storylines and make sure that I don't like that. I want the gold. I want the championships to be their own separate thing. I want the SmackDown thing to be about somebody, Bayley versus somebody. I want Raws to be Asuka versus somebody. I don't want Asuka facing Bayley for championships or Bayley facing Asuka for the championship or anything like that. I want it to be them facing opponents from their own brand, or hell, even Raw or SmackDown if they really want to mix the brands, just not the other champions. I don't want the same people having the championships. It's weird. Cesaro and Nakamura versus Lucha House Party. I think this is a great feud because there's a lot of storyline going into the whole Lucha House Party as a group rather than just the feud itself, and I really like the infighting between them, and it's great. Jeff Hardy, Sami Zayn, AJ Styles, Intercontinental Championship feud. There's not much I can say about this one because it's great. Street Profits got Garza and Andrade. I feel like this one definitely dragged on a lot longer, and it sadly, I don't think got the conclusion they wanted it to have because of Garza getting injured. Asuka's Lena Vega. Again, this one just kind of started, so I guess we'll see where it goes. And we've already talked about Lashley and Apollo Crews, but they're definitely trying to build longer storylines and have longevity to their feuds rather than just have it be a 1 month thing. Like, oh, Drew McIntyre beat Randy Orton. On to the next challenger for Drew. Instead of that, it's, oh, Drew McIntyre beat Randy Orton, but then Randy Orton went and attacked all of the legends playing up in the Legends booth room thing in the Amway Center. Okay, now Drew's pissed. Now Drew has a reason to fight Randy again. Roman went way too far against Jay, and Jay wanted another match, and Roman invited him out, or Jay interrupted, and Roman said, fine, you want another match? Hell in a Cell, but the stakes are going to be the highest stakes ever seen in WWE, and Jay accepted. That right there is good storytelling, and WWE has been accused of having bad storytelling for the last couple of years. They're trying to do better stories, but people are still being assholes about it, and this is the problem. Stop just fighting it. Let them play their storyline out. And yes, some stories are going to be bad. Some stories are going to be good. But you can't just say, oh, why is this person facing this person for the 900,000th time? Just let the storyline play out and see where it goes. If people would stop being so cynical, things would be better in WWE. This is the problem. People complain about one thing, WWE changed it, and then they complain about that thing, and they change it again, and then they complain and complain and change and complain and change and complain and change and complain. That's how it is. That's the problem. Don't change, complain, change, complain. Don't complain about every single thing. Let them play it out the way they want to play it out, and if it's bad at the end, complain about it and hope they change it. But when they change it, if it goes a way you don't like it and you complain about it again and they change it back, that's your fault. Hopefully, when you complain about it at the end, you can give constructive criticism rather than just being an asshole. Just my personal opinion on the whole thing with people complaining about WWE not doing storylines long enough and then now complaining that they're continuing storylines too long. I agree. They continue storylines too long sometimes, but they also definitely know what they're doing with storytelling again, which I think is great. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what your predictions are down in the comments below. I know I got really off topic in this one. I very much apologize. I'll see you guys for the review in a couple days. Stay golden. Peace.